Taking the time to come out this morning for the joint State of the City and State of the Schools. It's good to see folks in the crowd here this evening, and also welcome to those who are joining us online. At this time, we're going to kick it over to Dr. Claris. I want to thank him so much for his partnership. It's been a great 16 months working with him and the others at the school. So he's going to come at this time and give his State of the Schools address. Dr. Claris.
Well, good morning, Mayor. Again, thank you for this opportunity to present our State of the Schools. It's been a busy year in the Brooklyn City School District, a very positive year. I will echo what Mayor said in terms of the partnership with the city. It's been a great 16 months in working with the city. We have a lot of commonalities throughout both organizations, and it's very important for our school community and our residents to see that we are joint in the opportunities and the activities we have for our students and school community. So thank you to him for this opportunity. I want to talk a little bit today about our school district, Brooklyn City Schools, our progress, and some of our initiatives we've had over the past school year. Vision 2030 is what we've coined our strategic plan in terms of trying to transform and put various initiatives in place over the next 6 or 7 years. We've just recently released our 2023 quality profile. It was released online, so there's social media. It's on our website. We have copies here at City Hall and other places throughout the city. What this quality profile really tries to do is it tries to highlight all of the unique opportunities and all of the achievements of our students, staff, and opportunities for our families throughout the school year. You can see here some of the key statistics that we've highlighted for our students. We have about a 95% graduation rate. About 16% of our students last school year were awarded honors diploma, and you can see some various other stats there. A couple highlights here: we received 4 stars on the Ohio Department of Education state report card. Highest rating is a 5, and so we're very happy with the growth that our students have made over the past year. Again, not perfect, and we still need to work through some things and towards some things, but we are absolutely happy with the progress that our students are making. And a lot of that is due to, obviously, the support we have from our parents and families and the work of our leadership team and our staff, both classified and certified. One of the things I want to focus on a little bit this year we've kind of coined the phrase telling our story, and I think it's very important to tell our story in terms of different initiatives, different projects, and different milestones we have in the district. School districts, cities, they're complicated organizations, and it's not just as easy as saying, hey, let's look at the state report card to judge or make assumptions on what we're doing in the district. And of course, those scores and those report cards are an important part of what we do, but it's not the entire focus of what we do in the district. There are lots of different things that go into servicing our families and our students. Our first focus, or one of our main focuses this school year, was our focus on early literacy, and that's been led through our Assistant Superintendent's Office, Ms. DeLees, and our true focus on early literacy. Back in 2020, 2021, when COVID impacted our society, our students took a step back, our families took a step back in terms of kids weren't in school as much. And since then, since 2020, there has been a push through our district, through the state legislatures, to really focus on K through 3 literacy. There's a lot of different data points here, but I think what you can ultimately see is that the work we're doing the work that's being led through Ms. DeLise's office, our building principals, Mr. Bolin, Mr. Larson, is helping to increase that literacy piece. Literacy truly connects everything we do in the district. Another focus that we really have taken a hard look at this year, over the last couple of years actually, district enrollment trends and our student attendance. And again, I don't like always referring back to COVID, but since 2020, student attendance across the United States in schools has shown a dramatic decrease. You know, it fundamentally changed how our students learned, or how they felt they should learn. And one of the things we've been focusing, and what we know, is that when our students come to school, they learn more. Again, through some different initiatives, we want to increase our we want to get the students we have lost. And you can see here, this is trend data since the 2013-2014 school year. Right around then, we started about 1,400 students. Right now, we're down to about 1,150 students in the district. And so with a little bit of a dip during the COVID years. So this has been a true initiative for the district in terms of getting our kids back in school, getting our district enrollment up. One of the initiatives that we were very happy to undertake is the Stay in the Game initiative through the Cleveland Browns. And this was just a great way to incentivize our students, our families, to get to school. You know, we struggle, some of our students struggle with tardies, some of our students struggle with that daily attendance, and particularly at our pre-K through 7 building where student attendance mostly is dependent on our parents. We've had that opportunity to really work with the Cleveland Browns, develop some great activities, and to incentivize. And I believe we will see an increase this year in our kind of overall daily attendance rate. So it's been a positive piece. It's also been a great thing just to watch the community partnership with the Cleveland Browns, the excitement from our kids, especially our little ones in the early grades. It's just been a really, really neat opportunity to watch. I think at one point early in the fall, we had Grant Delpit from the Browns actually come out, work with our kids, play with them, just have some fun. And it's just a great connection when you see adult role models that our kids see on a daily basis, telling them how important it is to get to school and be attentive and work hard. And so it's just been they've been a great partner in it, and we're going to continue this work next year. Another focus that we've really taken a look at is, I think if you remember a couple of years ago in my State of Schools presentation, we talked about having our students in 3 different buckets. We talked about the workforce bucket, the vocational trades, safety forces bucket, and then our 2-year, 4-year college bucket. We flipped that a little bit in terms of one of the things that we've really started to take a hard look at is that classifying everything under the umbrella of a career pathway, meaning any of those pathways, whether it's workforce, whether it's a 2-year or 4-year degree, military, safety forces, vocational, all of that leads to a career. And I think the biggest piece that we've come to realize and we've come to focus on in the district is that every one of our students has different likes and dislikes. And I think one of the key roles that we have in the development of our students and support of our families is providing them different options on how to achieve that career. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the mentality, the focus was you have to go to college, right? Our focus today is giving our students the opportunities, the skill sets to choose their path. And if they choose workforce, well, we want to help them work through that. So the work from Supriya Culleton, our Director of Career Development and Innovation, she has been really working with our high school administrators, Mr. Larson, Ms. Harkleroad, in giving our students those different opportunities to interview with companies, to develop resumes, to understand what does it really mean to go into the workforce. We go all the way back to the Stay in the Game attendance initiative. Hey, if you're going to go to the workforce, you got to go to work every day. So some of those, we're trying to connect some of those things, but we have the typical 2-year, 4-year college pathway, which a lot of our students take advantage of. But we're trying to, through our strategic plan, understand that everything kind of falls under that career, and what we want to do is provide different opportunities to all of our different students to enter that pathway. And a lot of what we see too is our work supports our families and our parents, right? We want to be able to support our families so that they can help support their students. So there's been a lot of work in supporting our families through that transition. This is one of the initiatives that we've really focused on from the workforce piece, and again, through the work of our high school principal, Mr. Larson, Ms. Harkleroad, our assistant principal, Ms. Culleton. We've developed the Career Connections Academy. It's a lot fancier, sounds a lot fancier than it actually is, but what it is it's a focus of our juniors and seniors that we have surveyed and worked with, and they have indicated that, you know what, I'm not going to go to a trade school. I'm not going to go to the military. I'm not going to go to a 4-year college or a 2-year college. I want to enter the workforce. And so this academy is specific, focused work with these 25 seniors that we have to get them ready when they graduate to enter the workforce. And again, it goes to job fairs, resume building, interviewing techniques, all of that work to help them prepare to enter the workforce when they graduate. And I think one of the things that we've really focused on with our graduating seniors is, let's say we have 100 seniors in our graduating class. It's just, we always focus, okay, such and such got accepted to Cleveland State University. Well, we want to make sure that we highlight and focus that this person got a job with SwageLock. Like, those are just as important milestones for our students, and so it's been a great. I've been able to watch from kind of a distance and observe all the great things going on, and really it's been good work for our students and helping again support our families. Through kind of the Brooklyn Career Connections Academy. One of the things that we've begun to focus on, and again with Ms. Culleton, Mr. Lees, Mr. Larson, is focusing on trying to develop grant opportunities to help supplement the work we have going on in the district. And so we recently applied for, they applied for, I didn't really do anything, I signed a piece of paper, the Career Technical Education Grant through the state of Ohio. Brooklyn High School was one of only 2 schools in Northeast Ohio to receive the grant, and we received a grant for $266,000 and some change to help support the work of helping our students move into that workforce. Part of the piece that I will see here is you're going to see a lot of things on here about industry credentials. These are specific skill sets that we want to give our students moving into the workforce after graduation. And part of this also looks at, we were able to, there was a facility part of the grant. And so with this grant, we were able to redo our high school computer lab of somewhere around $115,000 worth of renovations. This will allow us to really transform the curriculum and embed some of those industry recognized credentials into our computer class. And so the traditional computer class from 25 years ago is evolving to a very different view and different needs for our students. And so this is kind of our work towards providing some of that work for our students. We have a great opportunity. We have great partnerships with the University of Akron, Cleveland State, Tri-C, the Advanced Placement Program. Looking at our students who want to enter a 2-year or 4-year college, those students are able to participate in college courses if they qualify as young as 7th grade. Now, we don't have any 7th graders, 8th graders enrolled in College Credit Plus, but I will tell you, our students looking to enter the university college world have opportunities in high school to earn college credit, which ultimately leads to less of a financial burden for our families after they get out of high school. And again, this is free for parents, includes books, doesn't include transportation, but I think the great thing what we have in Brooklyn is that we have some of those high school courses being taught, some of those college courses being taught by our high school staff. And so that's an opportunity for our students that want to advance themselves, but still do that in a high school setting. So great opportunities for our kids there. Polaris Career Center is just a wonderful opportunity, wonderful resource for our students to leave as juniors and seniors. And there are many great programs at Polaris. Because we are affiliated with Polaris, our students have the opportunity as juniors and seniors to go into various different programs. And one of our, going back to the grant piece that we received, that could not have been possible without the work and support from Polaris Career Center. So this just provides another opportunity for our students to prepare and advance themselves after high school. Our Brooklyn Arts and Innovation Academy. This has been a focus in our district of really looking at how do we advance our students who are classified as gifted or our students who are truly accelerated and are looking to continue pushing themselves. This has been our work through our gifted programming in terms of developing what does acceleration, what does gifted education look like starting as early as 3rd grade. Mrs. Mack is our gifted intervention specialist. She does a great job of working with our grades 3 through 7 students. As students get older, they work in terms of gifted education in advance. They enter the honors courses, advanced placement, and even some of our College Credit Plus. So again, another opportunity for our kids. It is really important that, we've talked a lot about the educational side of things, but I think it's also one of our focus areas in the district is to how can our students contribute outside of the classroom environment. We've had a really big push through Mr. Becker's office in terms of how can we get our students to participate in activities, to contribute outside of the classroom environment. And you can see over the past 3 years, our participation numbers have increased. Obviously, I think with many districts, when COVID hit, we lost a group of students that just didn't want to participate anymore and didn't come out after that. And so one of our true strategic plans over the course of these last 3-4 years is increasing participation. This is a fundamental core to our work and our partnership with the city. Mr. Abruzzi, Rec Commissioner, does a great job in working with Mr. Becker in terms of how can we develop opportunities for our youth programming, which will then funnel and lead into our high school programming. And so it's been a great opportunity, great to watch just our kids participating and giving back. One of the things we also look to is how can our students give back to the community? And this will be the 3rd year of our high school volunteer day. where our high school kids get into the community and do various service projects. This is going to continue. This is going to grow. And we look at this from the perspective of that work outside of the classroom is really to the core of developing them as student leaders and good citizens, and understanding that it's important to give back to our community. And I think that's the biggest piece that we really want to emphasize, is that you go to Brooklyn City Schools, but you live in the city of Brooklyn. How can we give back to the city of Brooklyn, our citizens, our seniors, individuals like that? We have lots of different partners throughout the city, throughout our work during the year. Obviously, City of Brooklyn, Brooklyn Police. We have Officer Meadows, who really is a fundamental core and part of our leadership team. You can see all the different partners there. Again, it's kind of that village mentality. We cannot do what we do without our partners and support from others. And it's really important to note that I would say 20, 30 years ago, school districts were solely looked at as educational institutions. I would say that's not the case anymore. It's really important to look at school districts as social service organizations that do a lot of different things during the day. And again, kids get out at 3:05. For some of our kids, some of our families, that doesn't stop. And we really look to help support that entire process for our students and our families. Just a little bit of a bragging note here. We do Brooklyn School. I will highlight Mr. Bolin and his team in terms of just honoring and supporting our families. And the one thing they do a great job of is their Veterans Day program every year, and the other activities throughout the year, just to supporting our veterans, supporting the armed military. And we applied, Mr. Lees applied with Mr. Bolin and the committee, and we were awarded the Purple Star Award from the Ohio Department of Education this year, which is, I say, is a really fundamental award in terms of it shows who we are as a district, right? I go back to tests, grades, scores, those are important, but this really goes to the fundamental core of how we care for our students and our families beyond the classroom. And so just a shout out and kudos to Mr. Bolin and his team for the work they've done. We talk about telling our story in terms of supporting our families and our students. This goes from the social, emotional aspect, and I will highlight Mrs. Jones, our Director of Pupil Services, that does a lot of work in supporting that emotional, social, and physical needs of our students. Right? If students don't have a healthy base, then they're never going to be able to fundamentally learn in the classroom. And so through our partnerships of Ohio Guidestone, Crossroads Health, our school counselors who are top notch, our Brooklyn Cares program, we are looking to develop our family resource center. We're hoping to have more information out to the school community later this spring about that. We're still working on some partnerships and some opportunities with Metro Health. But one of the simple things, and you can see the picture here in the center, is one of our students with a therapy dog that Mrs. Jones facilitated. I think it was 4 years ago right now, Paula, somewhere 3, 4. But it just fundamentally changes the dynamic of a classroom, and she has teachers sign up. And to be honest, sometimes our teachers and our staff and the superintendent, right, signs up, because I'll tell you right now, that's one of my favorite parts of the day. But it's just it's a fundamental way of just helping our kids through sometimes tough parts of their day, right? And so again, I go back to how do we support our students throughout the entire day and even when they go home. Last piece of kind of telling our story and really been a focus for the district the last year and a half. And as we stand in a a wonderful brand new facility across the street. They're going to be building the new branch of the library. We are excited that, part of what we've done is how can we focus on our facilities, right? And from the fundamental philosophy that I have is that our students, our staff, and our families deserve to walk and participate and be part and have facilities that are deserving of who they are. And so over the last 4 years, I'm gonna shout out Mr. Wallace. I'm going to shout out Mrs. Neal. I'm going to shout out Mr. Shearhart, who yells at me when we have to pay for things, but we do it begrudgingly. And we've, over the past 4 years, we've put about $2.5 million into our district campus and stadium complex in terms of improving facilities. And I'll go back to the simplest example. Came in the district and back to the district in 2020. And we still had the same cafeteria tables that I had as a middle school principal back in 2006. And so this is just a great opportunity it's really important that when our families, when our students, when our community members walk into our facility, they feel like this is an organization that is worthy of our district and our city. And so kudos to all of them for the work they've done with that. We were very fortunate that the community supported issue 21, which was the bond issue, which will allow for $20 million of renovation to be put into Brooklyn High School and the stadium complex over the next 4 years. And so we're gonna begin that process actually next week, working with our architects and the planning and design. And I hope that as we get into next school year, we'll be having community sessions where input, and because I believe it's important that every stakeholder has a view of what we're going to do. And so pretty exciting times, and our leadership team and our staff has worked really hard in terms of developing that philosophy. I want to thank, I don't have it in here because I added it late, but Chamber of Commerce for always being a support in many of the different initiatives we have. Brooklyn Board of Education, we have Mr. Hazrouni here and Ms. Rafter. Thank you for your support. I enjoy our weekly meetings where we talk. Mayor, again, it's been amazing partnership over the last 16 months. Brooklyn City Council, City of Brooklyn staff, our faculty, administrators, our parents, families, and of course our students. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Claris. Wonderful job. I appreciate, as he mentioned, the partnership that we have worked together over the last 16 months. It's hard to believe that that's been 16 months already, but it has been, and it truly has been an honor. Dr. Claris was the first person outside of this building that I met with to see what we could do to enhance the relationships of Brooklyn City Schools. Both the schools and, of course, the city government provide a vital service to our community. And so it was very pleased to be able to meet with him and to be able to develop that relationship. And so I look forward to working with you in the future. I do want to say congratulations to the Brooklyn City Schools on the passage of issue 21. Dr. Claris and I met on that very issue several times, and I was very proud to support that issue and was glad to see that even after a recount that it came through, and that we'll be able to see those improvements done at the city schools. He had mentioned the sports playing a vital role in the community, and I had the privilege of attending several of the sporting events this year, both on the Brooklyn campus as well as actually an away game in Fairview Park, I believe is where I was. And so the coaches do a great job. And so I would echo what he said and the importance of those extracurricular activities. So as I mentioned a second ago, it's 16 months. It's now my second year in office. I'm very honored to be presenting the State of the City today. And really what you're about to see reflects the hard work of my administration, of the staff that we have here, the employees that work in our community. And what you'll see is that Brooklyn is very much a thriving community. We are striving every day to not only improve the facilities, but also to improve the lives of our residents. Many thanks again to the hardworking employees of our city. They provide some of the best services anywhere in the county. And I can say that unashamedly because I believe that our city services are outstanding, and we continue to try to enhance those every day. And so as you'll see in today's presentation, Brooklyn is doing well. And we're doing very well in every aspect, always room for improvement, but we're also actively pursuing ways to make our community better every single day. Largely what you're about to see today is a result of a master plan that took place back in 2020, or 2020, I should say, and was approved by council. I was on the council in 2021. And inside this master plan, it laid out 5 goals for our community, as well as 34 action items. And those goals included strengthening Brooklyn's identity, to enhancing our parks and recreation, promoting a strong local economy, providing exceptional services and facilities, and lastly, to continue enhancing a livable community for everybody. And my focus has been over this last year and a half to take those 5 goals and those 34 action items and to put them into action. So as we move forward, you're going to take a look back over 2023. Everything that you see in this presentation is a direct result of the planning through that master plan. When we did the master plan, it was done with information from residents, from businesses, from other shareholders in the community, and a lot of surveys were done as a result, or to compile that document, and it really has served as a map for the city of Brooklyn moving forward. And I think you'll see as we take a look here that it's been very successful, and we hope to continue moving it forward. Of course, last year, the biggest event that took place here as far as in city government was the opening of this facility that we are seated in now. We moved into the building on May the 22nd of last year. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony that was so grateful to have the Brooklyn School there as well, or their marching band played. And we're able to move into this brand new facility, which residents could be very proud of. It's a 56,000 square foot building. It houses our police, our animal control, as well as the city hall offices, our mayor's court, and of course the council chambers that you're seated in right now. We also had an open house on July the 22nd. We're able to welcome hundreds of residents to tour the new facility, and all of them were just amazed at how nice the building is, something true to be proud of. And it really is a facility that all residents of Brooklyn, all businesses here can be proud of, as it'll endure for generations to come. And this was really part of a master plan, goal number 4, that was accomplished by having this facility that was opened up in May of last year. When I first took office in January of last year, one of the first things that I undertook was doing a department evaluation for all of our city departments. A lot of it was for me, for my knowledge, to get to know our departments better, but also to kind of see where we were as far as staffing and the needs of each of these departments. And so this led to some restructuring. It led to some hiring and, of course, some future planning. One of the things that Brooklyn has always stood out for is we've always been able to be prepared and ready to adapt to any challenges that face our city. And of course, we know one of the biggest challenges that faced our city in recent years was the American Greetings moving out to Westlake and taking with that a lot of our income. And because of planning and because of good stewardship of previous administrations, as well as city council, we were able to see those funds restored, with now Medical Mutual moving into that facility and just doing a great job. And we'll talk more about them here in a moment. So being prepared to continue offering great services was also another goal that was laid out as we did these evaluations. One of the first departments that we really needed to take a look at was the building department. When I took over, we were without a building commissioner, and that obviously creates a void in the city. So when I was on council, we had begun conversations with the previous administration about potentially partnering with another city in hiring a building commissioner. And so in the first quarter of last year, we did just that. We partnered with the city of Bedford, and we hired Mr. Mike Greer as our building commissioner. Another example of regionalization that's important for the survival of any city in this time is to be able to regionalize services with other cities. We had already partnered with Parma Heights for our animal control, and that was a success. And now we're partnering with the city of Bedford and sharing a building commissioner. And Mr. Greer's done a good job in moving the department forward. Secondly, in May of last year, the voters of Brooklyn approved the new zoning map and updated our zoning code that had not been updated in nearly 30 years. And so the new zoning map and zoning code allowed for streamlining a lot of the building that we see in our city today. And it was overwhelmingly passed. 70% to 30% voted to pass that. So we were very grateful for that. Again, that was another goal inside of the action item inside of our master plan that we were able to see accomplished. Later in the year, we hired a new housing manager, and his job was to continue, of course, making sure that properties are kept up. We continue with our exterior home grant program. For the first time that I can recall, we actually had more people apply for the grant than we were able to supply the grant. There's a lot of interest in that and provides funding to help people with exterior repairs on their homes. Also continued our street walks program, where our building department is actually out walking the streets, looking for areas that can be improved. And so we'll continue that this summer. And it shows a lot as Brooklyn housing values have increased. You've seen that increase around the country, but especially in Brooklyn. The average home in Brooklyn right now is selling for about $180,000, which is substantially more than what it was just a few years ago. And that's a testament to strong housing stock in our city. Houses go up for sale in Brooklyn and they're sold almost immediately. And that bodes well for the residents here, meaning this is a desirable place to be. And we want to continue that trend as we move forward, because strong homes and strong neighborhoods make for a strong community. So we're grateful for that. This summer, as I mentioned, we'll continue that Street Walks program again to make sure that our neighborhoods continue being the great places that they already are. Another department that we looked at was our recreation and our senior center. Early on in my administration, our senior center coordinator took a position elsewhere. And so we began the discussions of how do we streamline these departments to maybe make them more effective. And so through conversations with our senior staff as well as with our recreation center, we combined the recreation center and the senior center under one umbrella under our recreation department with Mr. Jack Abruzzi as the commissioner and Ms. Maria McGinty as the recreation manager. And then we hired a recreation coordinator, one for the senior center that runs the day-to-day operations as well as in the recreation center. And as a result of that, we've been able to see a lot of enhanced programming. For that, the recreation coordinator, Katie, over at the senior center is just loved by our seniors over there. And it's very encouraging to see as I go to events that we're seeing a much larger enrollment and people joining these events at the senior center, which is great. We've updated a lot of our parks and our walking trails in the city, and we are continuing to improve our indoor facilities. Our main focus this year on the recreation side is seeing the natatorium completely renovated. That building was put up back in the 1980s. It's really not had any renovation since then. And so we are partnering with an architect right now to lay out a design for completely upgrading the outdoor pool as well as the indoor pool, enhancing our fitness center, moving the entrance location down closer to the middle of the building. So just a lot of improvements that'll be done at the recreation center over the next several years. And of course, our recreation team has spearheaded that, and they've done an outstanding job. We should have somewhat of a design of what that's going to look like here in the next couple of months, and I'm very much looking forward to that. We're planning this year with hopes of moving that forward next year. Inside our police department, this is probably where we've seen the most number of changes as a result of that analysis. And meeting with Chief Melky and his team, there were a lot of issues that were at play that needed to be addressed. As a result of that, we hired quite a few officers last year, as well as law enforcement clerks and corrections officers. Of course, moving into a new facility, a much larger facility than we had before, we had the need for more corrections officers. And then as we really dove into where our staffing was in the police department, what was discovered is that we had quite a few officers who were nearing the end of their career. And so what that would mean is as they retired, we would have a shortage in that staffing. And if you have followed the news around the world at all in recent years, it's very difficult to hire police officers. Whereas there would be many hundreds that would be taking a police test, now it's down to just double digits. And so it's been difficult to hire. And so we made the decision with City Council to increase our staffing from where it currently was at 35 to 39 and hire those additional staffing this year so that when we saw those retirements come, we'd be at a position of strength as opposed to a position of weakness. Instead of trying to play catch up, we were already ahead of the game. And so we started doing that. We've actually hired several officers and we've had a couple of unexpected retirements. And so we're already seeing this come into play. We're right now looking to hire 4 or 5 additional officers this year. And so Chief Melky and his staff have done a wonderful job to ensure that we have the staffing that we need. So, of course, when we hire staffing, that costs money. And so we started doing some research through Lieutenant Knapp and his work. We were able to secure what's called a COPS grant, which is $500,000 in grant funding to help pay for those police officers over the next 4 to 5 years. And so it's always nice to have those additional funds. Our officers were very busy last year. You hear the sirens go off quite often in our city. They responded to 30,690 service calls last year, and which is a slight decrease from 2022, but a very busy department, and our gentlemen and our ladies over there do a wonderful job. Of course, we continue very strong community engagement. Our officers are very visible in the community. Dr. Claris mentioned a second ago, Mr. Meadows, that's our school resource officer, and he does an outstanding job at the schools. But we want our residents to know our officers. So when they have an emergency, when they have something that they need, when that officer shows up, they've seen them before. They've seen them at a community event. They've seen them in the store. They've seen them somewhere along the line. And building that relationship goes a long, long way in effective policing. And so our department does a great job with that community engagement, as well as we continue to upgrade our equipment. This is a really cool story that was something that wasn't good that turned into something very good. So every year we budget for 3 new police vehicles. And so that way it keeps our fleet up to date. Well, 3 years ago, we went to order our vehicles, 3 new police vehicles from, at the time it was Ford, and they canceled our order. Then the next year, next 3, well, actually it would have been 6, they canceled it again. And so then in 2023, we said, okay, we're not going to do this anymore. Ford stopped making police vehicles. We switched over to Chevy, and we purchased the Chevy Tahoes. We now have 9 of them. We purchased them, and they're on the street. But we applied for, at the middle of our early part of last year, for a grant from the federal government. And thankfully, through Congressman Max Miller's office, we were able to secure $529,000 in grant funding that paid for all 9 of these vehicles. And so we're now able to take those funds that were paid for those vehicles and to reuse that funding elsewhere inside the department. And so Dr. Claris talked about grant opportunities. It's very helpful to be able to receive those funds to be able to further enhance the department. And so kudos to Lieutenant Knapp, who hates being recognized, for his work on that, as well as Chief Melky and all those in that department. And of course, training is a vital aspect of any department. We actually get to see firsthand a lot of that training. Our new community room gets used quite often, and a lot of that is police training. And so our officers go through a lot of training to make sure that they're up to speed on the latest technology, the latest techniques for policing, and we really do have a first-rate department, and we're very proud of that. Addition to that is our fire department. Again, analysis inside this department with Chief Paul as well showed that we were facing some retirements forthcoming in the fire department as well. And so we decided to hire an additional 3 firefighters in the department to offset those challenges that are forthcoming. And we also, in looking at this, looked at the administrative side. For many years, the department had an assistant chief. But several years ago, that position went away. And so in meeting with Chief Paul, there was some need for some administrative help. And so we decided to restructure the fire department. We added captain's positions, 1 for each shift inside the department. So promoted 3 of our lieutenants to captains, and then promoted 3 of our firefighters to lieutenants. And so now we've really streamlined that process. The chief is now able to have someone on the administrative side on all 3 of those shifts to help him with fire, with administration, and with EMS. And it's worked out thus far very, very well. We just saw that take place at the end of last year. Also, our fire department has an ISO rating of 2, and I won't go into all the details of what that means, but less than 6% of departments nationally have that rating. So we're in the 94th percentile for our department, for the training, for the equipment, for all the things that we do inside that department. So kudos to Chief Paul and to his staff for the great work that they do. We've also ordered a new ambulance, a new fire truck within the last year. Unfortunately, those are several years out during 2020. And the supply chain issues we had, it really pushed those things back. But we are constantly upgrading our equipment inside of that department. Our department was very busy last year as well. They responded to over 3,000 calls for service. And so we have a very active fire department as well. But the gentlemen that work up there do an outstanding job. Our service department as well went under a department evaluation. As a result of that, we did hire some additional staffing. We've purchased some new equipment. We just received a new garbage truck. Everyone's super excited to see that, but keeping that equipment upgraded is important. And our guys do an outstanding job with the tree maintenance and keeping Brooklyn beautiful. We're part of Tree City USA. We've been part of that for 39 years. And so we look forward to this summer. There's a lot of work ahead of them, but our guys do an outstanding job. Mr. Verba and his team do a great job keeping our city looking great and providing excellent services. And so my many thanks to them. In 2023, we had other capital improvements as well. We had some work that needed to be done on our fire station. It's hard to believe, but that building is 16 years old. And so there were some improvements that needed to take place up there, and those were completed last year, as well as new gateway entry signs throughout our city. We still have a couple to add, but as part of our master plan, we undertook a marketing strategy, and the logo that's behind me, as well as all these signs throughout the city, was part of that. And so those are entryway signs throughout the city. The most notable one is the one at I-40 in Tiedemann, where we have the landscaping. You may have noticed up there's a lot of work going on in Tiedemann right now, where they're putting in a turning lane, but also the other two quadrants at I-40 and Tiedemann are having landscaping work done this summer as well. And so we continue to improve the look of our city as you enter and exit our city. A thing that was finished last year is something that I'm very proud of. This is our Veterans Memorial Plaza. And this was actually created out of necessity because of the new library going across the street. We had to move where our old cannons were, as well as our Blue Star and Gold Star. And so the city already owned 3 pieces of property next to the airplane. We purchased another piece of property to the south of that and made that into Veterans Memorial Plaza. We hired an architect to design that plaza, and we dedicated it last year around Veterans Day. It's now fully lit. It's a beautiful plaza. We're going to put up the banners for the 4 service members from Brooklyn that have lost their lives fighting for our nation. Those will be up hopefully before Memorial Day. But that plaza is a true testament to the sacrifice that not only people across the nation gave their lives for our country, but also for our Brooklyn residents right here. So I'd encourage you, if you haven't seen that, take a look at that. And of course, Mr. Verba isn't here, but he would probably sigh when I said this, because this was a very, very busy streets program last year. We did a lot of local streets, as well as partnership with the county and with the state to do Brook Park Road and Ridge Road. So it was a very busy construction season. Some other community highlights. This goes back to the early last year, but the Memphis Bridge opened up next to the new Amazon facility. That was closed for several months, a brand new bridge up there, which no one noticed as a bridge until it's closed. But it was closed for quite some time. Now it's reopened. They widened it, and that'll go in partnership with a turn lane that we're going to be putting on Tiedemann Road here this year as well. We had, as mentioned, our ribbon cutting ceremony right here. This is a picture of the band playing at our ribbon cutting ceremony, so that was an exciting day in the city. We also finished up Marquardt Park, which is the park that's located right across from the school property and down the streets from Heather Lane and Springwood. And this park was completely renovated from the top to the bottom, new restrooms, new shade structures, new playground equipment that you see there, new walking paths, new lights are installed, as well as security cameras. And it's a fantastic park. And now it's connected to all the streets over there by walking paths. Of course, we had our concerts in the park, which are always a big hit here in the city. We had our groundbreaking ceremony for the new library going up across the street. And always the highlight of the year is the Memorial Day Parade. And we were happy to partner with the schools this year. Because of the construction at Veterans Memorial, we moved the ceremony location to the football stadium. So we're very thankful for the school allowing us to do that. It was such a huge hit. We're going to do it again this year. And we're going to keep that ceremony there. And so thank you to Dr. Claris and the school board for allowing us to have our parade ceremony there. Some business highlights. Of course, businesses are the backbone of the income that comes into our city, and we have an outstanding business community. We thank the Chamber of Commerce for their work in helping facilitate this. Many of the businesses that help in the city. Probably the biggest one that came in was Medical Mutual, as I mentioned a moment ago. They took over the old American Greetings property, put in about $40 million in renovations inside that facility. I actually had a meeting just yesterday. The building is absolutely beautiful, but middle of last year, they decided to move their executives into that building. And so now that is actually their headquarters, is now headquartered here in Brooklyn. And they are a great partner, and we're very glad to have them in the city. Also, Aero International, which is their worldwide headquarters, is on Clinton Road in Brooklyn. They expanded their footprint. They're expanding their building right now. I'm in the city of Brooklyn, as well as seeing many new businesses come into the city, and we're very grateful again for our business community. So that was kind of a walk through Brooklyn last year and all the things that took place. And now very briefly, we'll look at what's going on now. What is happening in Brooklyn today? Well, I'm happy to announce that Brooklyn is doing very well financially. We have a very healthy city fund balances throughout the city's funds. We have almost $40 million that are inside those funds. We're in a very strong financial position. We have a very effective planning strategy, and a lot of that is the result of our outstanding finance team. Mr. Raguse and his team have done an outstanding job. For the last 5 years, they've won the Auditor of State Award, and this is only given to about 4% of over 6,000 entities that are eligible for this. And they do an outstanding job of planning, of making sure that we stay on budget, making sure our directors are spending the money that they're supposed to spend and not spending the money that they're not supposed to spend. And Mr. Raguse and his team do an outstanding job, and they're truly a fun group to work with as well. The city holds very little debt. The only debt that we have is on our fire station. That debt will be paid off in 2027. The only other debt that we have is this building that we stand in right now. And we were able to secure funding for this building at a 1.75% interest rate. Of course, that was before interest rates went very high that they are now. And we were able to invest a lot of funds that we have in interest rates that are earning 5, 6, and 7%, while we're only paying 1.75 in interest here. We have set aside funds in our debt retirement. We have about $3 million that's sitting in that fund right now that can go towards future debt payments. But because we're making more money off of investing those funds in the higher interest accounts as opposed to paying down the debt, that's what we're doing. And so we're very fortunate, again, with Mr. Raguse and his team and my administration to be able to make sure that financially the city stays in a strong financial position. We also have a rainy day fund that has funds set aside in case we ever need that. And we continue to set aside funds for these capital projects. I'm going to talk about some capital projects that we have moving forward, and all of these will be paid for without going into debt. We have funds set aside for them. And this building, as well as these capital projects, were able to be built on the current city budget without raising taxes to our residents, which was very important to me as we were moving forward. So for 2024, we have, of course, our streets program, and those on the school are familiar with this because it goes right behind your school this year. But Williamson and Bearwald are being redone right now. And then our Southwood will be done a little bit later this year. That's going to be a water line replacement also. And that will be not on the school side, but on the other side. So that won't affect you guys quite as much. Also, we're doing a turn lane at Memphis and Tiedemann. There's a lot of traffic down there, especially now that Amazon has their vans going in and out of there. So there'll be a dedicated turn lane off of Memphis Avenue heading south on Tiedemann. So we hope to have that done sometime this year. Right now, the work is being done at the I-480 in Tiedemann, where we're extending the turn lane onto the north side of the bridge to help with traffic stacking for those going east on 480, and that should be done by the end of next month. Then, as I mentioned a second ago, the landscaping that's taking place at I-40 and Tiedemann on the other two quadrants. And probably the largest building project that we have in the city is one that I don't have to worry about. That is the county library going in across the street. They are on schedule. I just spoke with Mary. She's the new manager at the library, and they are on schedule to be open October or November of this year. And so we're very excited to have the library already in our city, but now expanding their footprint here on Memphis Avenue, which is going to be a great addition to our city center complex here. Another project that will get underway here next month is the Memphis Road Diet. This is a project that's been talked about for the last 3 years, and now the work on this will take place right out here in front of City Hall, all the way from Ridge Road all the way down to Tiedemann on Memphis Road. Additionally, we'll be doing phase 1 of our Veterans Memorial Park. We're in the final stages of completing the master plan and the layout for that. And that work will take place late this year or early next year. And then lastly, we'll be evaluating all of our city streets once again. And then that will determine, we'll evaluate their condition, determining what projects we do moving forward. For some planning projects that we have underway, the first one is Brock Memorial Park. This is a park that's located on the corner of Vandalia and Ridge, and that's mostly a walk-to park that's used heavily by that in the neighborhood. That park has not been upgraded in quite some time. We'll be having a meeting out at that park here probably the next month or so with residents to get their input on it, but we hope to have a plan design laid out for that for the construction of that to take place next year. Another item is potentially a dog park in the city of Brooklyn. This was something that was suggested numerous times in our planning strategy for the master plan, as well as other surveys that we've done. And we've located a location next to our service garage, a property that the city already owns, that's quite a distance away from the nearest neighborhood. And so we are working right now on preparing, making plans for that to go into construction, hopefully next year. Then, of course, as I already mentioned, the Recreation Center and Auditorium, phase 2 and 3 of our Veterans Memorial Park planning is going on right now, as well as some expansion of some trails that run just to the backside of this building down into what we refer to as the Kingdom. And then, of course, moving forward into 2025 to 2028, there's a whole list of items that we, of course, want to see done. Of course, we want to maintain and enhance our quality city services. We want to continue building strong partnerships with our businesses in our city. Our streets program that is always very robust will be based upon the survey done this year. The phase 2 and 3 of our Memorial Park renovation, the actual remodel of the Recreation Center, some interchange improvements at I-480 and Ridge. When you get off heading eastbound on I-40 and Ridge, everyone thinks that's Brooklyn. It's Cleveland, but everyone thinks it's Brooklyn. So I've had several meetings with the city of Brooklyn as well as with ODOT, and we're going to be doing the similar landscaping up at I-480 and Ridge as we're doing here to enhance that entryway into our city in partnership with ODOT and with the city of Cleveland. And again, we're just trying to improve the look of the city, and so that when you see that you drive into Brooklyn, you know you're in Brooklyn, and we want to set ourselves apart, and I think we're doing that and seeing that accomplished, and the results are outstanding in my opinion. I would like to see our master plan updated. Next year, this document will be 5 years old, and so about every 5 years, you want to see the master plan updated, so we will work towards getting that done. And something that I'm very excited about is new housing being built in the city of Brooklyn. We have not built houses or any type of housing in Brooklyn since the mid-1990s. And we are working right now with both a designer and a builder to see new housing built in our city. And we are still in the planning stages of that. There's really nothing publicly can be said about where that's going and what we're going to do quite yet. But hopefully within the next month or so, we'll see that. And there is a need for housing. There's a major housing shortage in this area across the country. And being able to put new housing in Brooklyn will be outstanding to bring new residents into the city, as well as also for residents who are looking, maybe they don't want as large of a property to be able to have new housing. They can come to that's not as much maintenance. And so we're excited to see that rolled out here in the coming days. And then a program that actually started last week is a traffic calming program that we're working on in the city. We have purchased some discrete traffic monitoring systems. We had the trailer, but when everyone sees the speed trailer, they slow down. And so, which is good, but we're trying to monitor traffic in both volume as well as speed. And so we have some discrete ones that people don't know that they're there. And so they're monitoring that traffic right now for both volume and speed. And then we have some traffic calming measures that we're going to implement on a temporary basis and then monitor that traffic again. And if it works to the way that we want it to work, then those will be more permanent when we do those street redesigns. And the idea behind it is to outlay that traffic calming across the entire city as warranted. One of the biggest complaints that I received both on council and as I was walking this last year campaigning for mayor was we got to slow the traffic down. And that's a common theme throughout the city. And so we are working on doing just that through this traffic calming program. And then, of course, as I've already mentioned, we want to continue developing strong partnerships with the Brooklyn City Schools. We serve the same people. And so we have a commonality in that. And so I want to again thank Dr. Claris and the school board for the strong partnership that we've had thus far and being able to have that relationship to continue. And again, I want to reiterate, all these upgrades and these hires and these improvements are being done without raising taxes. You know, we don't want to apply that additional burden to our residents and to our businesses. So we want to make sure that we're very financially responsible for what we do. So again, as I mentioned a second ago, it truly is an honor to serve as the mayor of Brooklyn. I want to thank all of the city directors, their employees, all of city council, the Chamber of Commerce, the businesses in our city, and of course the residents that make Brooklyn such an outstanding place to live, to work, to worship, and play. And so I'm very grateful for that. Again, thank you, Dr. Claris and the school board for your work in making Brooklyn City Schools better every day. You can tell by Dr. Claris's presentation, they're always trying to find another way. How can we reach one more student? How can we make one more student's education a better experience? And education is near and dear to my heart. I taught for 17 years before I became mayor of the city of Brooklyn. I've said this many times. The thing that I miss most about my previous job is teaching. And so education is very near and dear to my heart. And so I want to thank the schools for the hard work that they do each and every day and for that partnership. So thank you to the city of Brooklyn for allowing me to be mayor. Thank you all for coming out today. I appreciate it. Have a good day.